In the heart of the Moon Shadow Mountains, where stars kissed the peaks and mist curled like ribbon through the trees, there lived a young girl named Princess Mira. She wasn't like other princesses who stayed behind castle walls. Mira had a heart full of wonder, a voice like a warm breeze, and a courage as quiet as moonlight. One evening, as the kingdom prepared for bed, a strange sound echoed across the hills. It was a cry, soft but sorrowful, like a melody out of tune. Villagers whispered of a dragon that had moved into a nearby cave. Most were too afraid to go near. But Mira wasn't afraid. With her lantern in hand and her slippers padded with quiet steps, she followed the cry deep into the forest, over babbling brooks, and under glowing fireflies. At last, she reached a rocky cave nestled between the stars and the earth. There, curled in the shadow of the cliffs, was a baby dragon. Its scales shimmered silver blue, and its eyes glistened with tears. "Are you lost?" Mira whispered gently. The dragon hiccuped a puff of smoke and whimpered. It couldn't speak her language, but it didn't need to. Sadness was a language they both understood. So Mira did the only thing she knew to comfort it. She sang. Her lullaby was soft, woven with warmth and starlight. It spoke of calm winds, of gentle dreams, and the promise of morning. Slowly, the baby dragon's breathing slowed. It nestled into the cloud-soft moss and fell asleep. From that night on, Mira returned every evening. Sometimes she brought warm milk, sometimes just a smile, but always a song. News of her kindness spread, and creatures from all over came to hear her voice, owls with tired wings, foxes with restless kits, even the trees leaned in to listen. Mira became known as the Princess of Peaceful Nights. She never wore a crown of gold, but the dragon gifted her one of starlit scales, glowing with quiet pride. And
once upon a time, high above the clouds, there lived a kind and curious girl named Princess Raya. Her castle floated gently in the sky, painted in the softest shades of pink and gold. But the thing she loved most was the rainbow. Every day, she would sit on her fluffy cloud balcony and watch the rainbow stretch from one end of the sky to the other, shimmering in red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. One morning, the rainbow didn't appear. The sky was dull and pale. Princess Raya gasped. "Where has the rainbow gone?" she whispered. She rushed to her royal telescope and peered far across the skies, but there was no sparkle of color anywhere. Determined to find the rainbow, Princess Raya packed a little bag. She packed star biscuits, a moon map, and her glowing feather pen. She called her dove, Luna, and they soared into the sky, following a faint shimmer in the clouds. Their journey took them to the Mountain of Mists. At the Mountain of Mists, they met the Keeper of Colors, a gentle old man with a beard like cotton candy. "The colors are missing because people have forgotten to smile," he said sadly. "Without joy and kindness, the rainbow fades away." "But I remember," said Raya. She took out her pen and began to write letters of joy and kindness. She tied them to Luna's feathers, and together they delivered messages to children all over the world. Each message said something special: "You are loved, be kind, share your smile." As children read the messages, they smiled, laughed, hugged, and helped one another. With every giggle and act of kindness, a piece of the rainbow returned. Red glowed in the east. Orange stretched across the clouds. Yellow danced with sunlight. Green, blue, and violet followed until the whole sky shimmered once more. By sunset, the sky blazed with colors so bright they made the stars jealous. The rainbow was whole again. Princess Raya waved to the world and whispered, "Never stop smiling." That night, back in her floating castle, Raya sipped stardust tea and looked at the glowing arc across the sky. She knew she had done.
Long ago, beyond the castle walls and over rolling hills, there lay an enchanted grove known only in quiet songs, the Forest of Whispers. The wind there never howled, it whispered. And if you truly listened, you would hear the trees speak. Princess Talia, known throughout the kingdom for her curious heart and gentle spirit, had heard the legends. While others dismissed them as bedtime tales, she believed in them with all her heart. One golden morning, with a satchel of bread, a notebook, and a lantern of soft light, Talia slipped away into the forest. As she stepped under the emerald canopy, a hush fell over the woods. The sunlight dappled the ground, and the trees creaked, not with age, but with stories. Then, the whispers began. A low, warm voice rustled through the leaves. Once, a baker gave his last loaf to a hungry child. Another tree bent slightly toward her. A knight once laid down his sword to build homes instead of destroy them. A grandmother shared her warmest blanket on the coldest night. A child gave a songbird a home when the sky turned gray. Everywhere Talia walked, stories bloomed like wildflowers in her ears, tales of kindness, courage, and forgotten love. She sat beneath each tree, listening, learning, and writing them down with care. When she returned to the kingdom days later, people thought she would speak of magic or treasure. Instead, she gathered the villagers and began to tell the stories the trees had shared. She told them of gentle heroes, quiet bravery, and acts so small they might have gone unnoticed, if not for the forest. Word of Talia's tale spread far and wide. She became known not just as a princess, but as the princess of memory, the one who remembered, who honored, and who gave life to the stories of the kind-hearted. And the forest?
The Princess and the Magical Talking Cat. Once upon a time, in a kingdom full of lavender fields and singing fountains, there lived a clever young princess named Ivy. She had read every book in the royal library twice and could solve any riddle before breakfast. But nothing had ever surprised her quite like the day she met a talking cat. The cat had soft black fur, bright green eyes, and a rather royal way of sitting on the palace wall. "Good morning, Princess," he said with a flick of his tail. Princess Ivy blinked. Did you just talk?" "Of course I did," said the cat. "I'm actually a prince. Long story, magical accident, old spell, you know the type." Intrigued and delighted, Ivy invited the cat into the castle. Together, they searched the dusty corners of the library for the ancient spellbook that could break the enchantment. At last, hidden behind a shelf of cookbooks, they found it, the book of mostly forgotten magic. With a whisper and a swirl of light, Ivy read the spell aloud. The cat began to glow, and poof, in his place stood a young prince with tousled hair, regal robes, and the same mischievous green eyes. He bowed deeply. "Thank you, Princess. But, may I be honest?" "Of course," Ivy said. "I miss having whiskers. And naps in the sun. And scratching behind my ears without anyone judging me." Ivy laughed. "Then perhaps you don't need to be a prince to be happy." The prince smiled, picked up the book, and flipped to another spell. With a flash and a meow, he was a cat again, this time with a tiny golden crown perched between his ears. From that day on, the talking cat became Ivy's most trusted friend. He sat beside her at royal meetings, snuck treats from the kitchen, and gave advice with a flick of his tail. And though some still wondered why the princess kept a cat at her side instead of a prince, Ivy would just smile and say, because he's already perfect, just the way he is.